Hello everybody, in this video I'm share with you my tips regarding playing Iggy Scorch in the game Predecessor. Iggy Scorch is a zoner, I'm just saying here, but yeah, basically Iggy Scorch. This is the type of character that excels at area denial, area damage AoE, in crowd control. So basically it's great when you want to prevent enemies from passing through certain areas, you want to disrupt them. Iggy is really one that can really make big chaos. Now personally I play mainly in mid lane, although I did try in offlane with some good amounts of success with a certain build. And love something that, well, it probably may be the most fun hero to play in my opinion, and for some it might look easy to play. I think his difficulty is quite high. He's very squishy, not a lot of ways to actually allow him to get away, and basically with him, positioning is everything. Although generally speaking, you don't need to be very accurate when playing Iggy because of the wide area of the damage of your abilities. Your passive, when you hit enemies, and slow them down, and also allows you to stack damage coming from your other abilities. I'm making this important to actually put regular hits on the target to maximize Iggy's damage potential and utility potential. And I think the more difficult part is actually predicting where enemies, for example, will pass through, when they'll come, so you can actually arrange your equipment, like the turrets, for example, or the oil spill when you're going to do it, in order to make the best out of it, rather than make it predictable. Because, for example, your turrets can quite easily get eliminated, but you can actually use it to surprise enemies and put them in certain strategic location to make the best out of them. This is why if you don't do it well, you're gonna find yourself either dead well or not really making the best of what Iggy Scorch are capable of doing. Now, because of its utility and damage potential, I've seen many players actually using it also as a support character, although personally my focus was actually on mid in most. So that intro aside, let's move to the tips. Let's begin. Now take advantage of distance. Your ultimate, Inferno, Oil Spill, Flame Turret, and Molotov especially can hit from far, so take advantage of it. So put yourself more in the outer circle where you're actually safer and try to make the best of it and try to observe the battlefield and apply zoning from there. This is another example in offlane.
I'll just leave this here. What barbecue? Torch it!
First blood. Your skill rises.
Wait! Let's go, let's go!
Make sure to get the re-rebuff because again, all of them depends on the different utilities that they give you. They give you a big chunk of mana. And Iggy really needs it, especially at the beginning to do. Now, Iggy is one of those heroes that can really get lots of last hits without actually missing them. One of the reasons is the turret that can help you with that. Also, Molotoving your old spill also helps a lot. One of the great advantages of Iggy is denying escape pathing for enemies, as you can see here. And at the end of those, you can actually push enemies and give them kind of a little stun. That can be good for initiation and during combat. Here, for example, I put turrets to prevent enemies from actually escaping. If they are low, they're probably going to get destroyed by my turrets. But when you're using your ult, try to do it strategically, so you can push enemies not into a way they can actually escape, but into a way that you jump maybe into a wall or to a corner and they won't be able to escape. Now, Iggy is great in actually pushing on low HP enemies even below towers because you really don't need to be accurate. You just burst damage and they're gone. Now, Iggy's ult is really useful, especially when you do it as a surprise attack. It has both visual obscurity and can cause enemies to panic and lose concentration and see what they're actually doing. And this is a great way to hopefully make your opponents make a mistake. Here, for example, I'm pre-using it in order to get the knockback at the right time. Now, Iggy's attacks alone probably won't do a lot of damage for a single target, especially if you want to take towers faster, but with the help of the turrets, it can be a little bit faster. It can deter enemies, it can help clear minions, and of course take the down one faster. And after the tower or inhibitor is down, it can help zone a bit enemies even more.
Inhibitor deactivated.
Now, when you're positioning yourself near other allies, try to position yourself relatively close to a tank, where if the tank is attacked, you know that the combat will last for quite a lot of time, and it allows you to do your thing, position turrets, spill, oil spill, light it up, focus on slowing down targets, and so on. This includes, of course, jungle and offlane in the most part. Now, those support characters can be very good to prevent turret diving. Iggy also, with his ult, can do this as well. Confuse, deal damage, and push. And in general, he's very good in just protecting towers from excessive and aggressive enemies' attack. Now, Iggy is squishy, but that you can take advantage of it by trying to lure some enemies into a well-placed area where you place your turrets and can maybe try to eliminate them. Of course, it works best when you have your teammates around. Now, that's true to any hero, but again, especially with Iggy. If sometimes jungle jump at me and I know that I can get out, I won't actually use my dash. Make sure to keep your dash, because there are situations where, again, because you're squishy, because you don't have a lot of escaping options, dashing is probably going to be your only option sometimes. For example, here I probably could have survived, so maybe I shouldn't have dashed. Again, always keep an eye on your HP and make sure to use your dash when needed. When using your ult, try to focus on the location where you want your enemy to be at after the knockback.
Scorch.
Killing spree.
And in many situations, you're going to find that it's even more important than the damage you are actually dealing. Because you have a big cone of the ult, try to again to focus on the end. If you can put enemies into a location where they can escape, it's a big W. Now, later in the game, where you become more durable, try to keep enemies away from your turrets. Keep your turrets alive. They are pretty squishy themselves. And in such a situation, you can do very well even against tanky enemies that are low HP. Again, make sure to put those basic attacks in order to make sure to lit up enemies with your other abilities. Now, the reason you want Iggy to stay a bit away from the combat, you want a wider field of view. You want to make sure you see all the enemies, you have enough time to react, but basically you want to make sure that you either keep enemies out, in, or you want to channel them towards your teammates. And the only way you can actually do that is if you are not targeted yourself and you are a bit far and can see where enemies are located and you have time to kind of observe the battlefield. If, for example, I'm preventing them from getting close to the edge, so my teammates can actually push right and take the inhibitor down. And this is to prevent basically enemies from coming from behind us and trying to attack us and maybe use an ult or anything like that. So you see it's over clear and we can actually take the inhibitor down. Now, Iggy is also great to make sure to get the last hit on Prime, so make sure you use your turrets, your oil spill, burning it. And again, because again, if the enemies take the last hit, they're going to get Prime. So Iggy is really good when attending Prime objective in order to get the last hit. When you're using your ult and want to maximize damage, you can really quickly use your ult and follow by Molotov to again maximize damage and hopefully get a kill. There are going to be many times, of course, when your team will try to attack the enemy's team, where they try to secure Fangtooth or Prime. And this is where your ult, because of the beacon, can really shine. In a good case scenario, again, you can push several enemies back into the pit so they won't get out and give your teammate an advantage. So maybe pre-ignited to be able to get a knockback the moment you actually get inside and give your teammates an advantage. So I can tell you that in many situations it causes enemies to panic, they spread around, and they lose focus, and of course they're already fighting, so might be even low. And this is good, by the way, to get a good initiation on this one, just to make sure that you secure both the enemy's elimination and the objective. And the great thing about that, if you do it again well, you push enemies, they won't be able to get onto you, and you can kind of get back a bit and, well, do your thing. Now, of course, it won't be the ultimate time to use the ultimate, but you can use the ultimate to make sure to deter enemies from pushing your tower with minions. There are many situations like that when you know when minions are coming in and enemies already kind of use that in order to deal a bit of damage. If you see that they're pushing a bit too much, you want to deter them from actually getting in. Because of your big cone of ult or fire, with your ult you can actually clear the minions fast, and they probably realize that they won't be able to push through and do lots of damage. They probably won't get in. Another thing is, well, try to deploy a surprise turret drop for enemies. Actually, when you join the fight, you know the turrets weren't there before, but when you join, quickly put them on the ground for that really beautiful and sweet extra damage, and hopefully a kill. So this is it. This is 20 tips and tricks for you to make the best out of Iggy. Again, there are many other things that are important to keep in mind, like understanding the timing of the buffs, when you should take them again to get that extra mana that is very important for you, especially when you put turrets that consume lots of mana, especially at the beginning. Ward carefully. This is also important for survivability, especially for mid. When you are rotating, make sure to tell your teammates or ping, so they make sure that you don't waste time. You don't waste time to actually go to the other lane and not getting some kind of results. Make sure not to over push again. You are squishy, so try to do it strategically. So again, manage your minion waves appropriately. Don't forget your passive, so make sure to put those basic attacks that apply slick to enemies, slow them down per stack for 3 seconds, and also up to maximum of 5 stacks are applicable, so make sure to take use of that. Remember that, again, when you put the slick, your Molotov, Inferno, and Flame turrets will also ignite enemies that are actually have this slick for 3 seconds and taking magical damage per second per stack. And although again Iggy is not an assassin, you really can benefit from surprise attack with your ult, and make sure again to position them at the right place, especially with the knockout. Be there with him with your objectives, and you can see that Iggy is very powerful tool. For me, I use it more of the utility aspect of him rather than trying to amplify its damage. I got more benefits from it based again more on my experience, but again it's build dependent, and of course it depends what other heroes your team are taking and what enemies you are fighting against. So again, it's more advanced than that, but this is again for new players who really kind of want to get some extra tips to make the best out of Iggy if they feel that it's maybe overwhelming a bit. Although another thing is to keep in mind that things might change and you might get a buff, and maybe some things might debuff. We need to wait and see. So again, this is all the time making this video, and hopefully this will work for you and help you get better playing Iggy Scorch. Thanks for watching. Also consider subscribing to my channel. More advanced guides will come. Thanks for watching.